Hello, everyone. My name is Shahé Mankerian. As director of the Mentorship Program, alongside Aline, who leads the Young Armenian Poets Award, I want to welcome you to the International Armenian Literary Alliance's fifth annual Mentorship Program, Emerging Writers Showcase, and the Young Armenian Poets Award. That was long. The spring of 2025 brought together more than 2 dozen applicants from around the world, bringing our total number of mentees since the program's inception to 60. Participants have joined us from the United States, Canada, the United Kingdom, Denmark, Lebanon, Armenia, Artsakh, and most recently, Australia. As always, selecting mentees and mentors was a joyful challenge, a good problem to have. This year, we welcomed 13 exceptional writers from diverse backgrounds and paired them with dedicated mentors who guided them throughout the summer. For those who were not selected, please do not be discouraged. Often it is not the quality of your writing that determines the outcome, but whether we can find the right mentor to match. Now, allow me to focus on these incredible mentees. Calling them emerging voices hardly does them justice. They are already contributing to the literary landscape in meaningful ways. Remember their names, read their work, and support them, because our literary tradition depends on new bearers of the torch, especially now when aggression and uncertainty weigh heavily on certain parts of the world. I am reminded of Brecht's motto: in the dark times will there also be singing. Yes, there will also be singing about the dark times. Our mentees remind us that the song must continue even when the world falls silent. It is also worth noting that several of our past mentees have gone to become mentors themselves and published authors who are making their mark in today's English speaking literary landscape. In a short time, their work has gained well deserved recognition for its depth and originality. Seek out the writing of Jen Siraganian, Lori Yeryayan Friedman, Nairi Abrahamian, and many others who will find their voices both impressive and inspiring. Before we begin, I want to extend my heartfelt gratitude to our mentors. They are accomplished writers, teachers, and professionals who volunteer their time to nurture and guide our mentees throughout the summer. Dear mentors, your generosity, wisdom, and care have made a lasting difference in the creative lives of these writers. And finally, thank you to everyone watching and listening today. Your presence and support keep IALA and programs like this thriving. As we celebrate our fifth year as an organization and prepare for the sixth year of mentorship program, with applications opening in the spring of 2026, we invite you to stay connected. Every contribution, large or small, helps sustain our work. To become a member or make a donation, please visit our website. The link will also be shared in the chat. Thank you for being part of this continuing celebration of words, resilience, and community. Now, without further ado, I would like to introduce our first mentee, Mariam Vahradyan. I will read her introduction prepared by her mentee, Lori Yeryayan, who is not with us because she is traveling. Lori writes, I am so pleased to be able to introduce Mariam Vahradyan. Mariam is so committed that she's attending this showcase from Australia, where it is close to 3 o'clock in the morning. I'm traveling and in an airplane. Otherwise, I would have loved to be with you all. I had an incredible time working with Mariam this summer. It only took one or two meetings to see that what a smart thing Shahid did in preparing us together. Reading Mariam's voice-driven work was like meeting a kindred spirit. Mariam's writing contains incredible wisdom alongside irresistible playfulness, often in the same paragraph. She writes with such humor, honesty, and heart. You'll see, she's simply allergic to inauthenticity. It was a privilege to play a small role in the creative journey of this talented human. I'm excited for you to get to hear some of Mariam's works today. Mariam?
Thank you so much, Shahé, and thank you, Lori. This piece is called My Big Fat Armenian Wedding, a how-to, and it's dedicated to my grandmother, Josefina. Step 1. Decide you're throwing the wedding in Armenia. Realize it's really far from your scattered diaspora bases, and many people you love won't be able to come. Tell yourself that you won't get upset. Later, get upset anyway, but tell them you understand. Step 2. 1 year in advance, spend the summer in Yerevan eating your way through half a dozen venues. Remember that no one in Armenia reserves things 1 year in advance. Understand that planning ahead is a privilege reserved for those whose future is guaranteed. Beg them to please book the date anyway. Sign a paper affirming you'll get your deposit back in case war breaks out. They know what they're doing, you think, as you board the plane back to the other side of the world. Step 3, make lists, lots of lists. Try to copy spreadsheets from Western wedding websites. Realize none of them have call the whole guy on them. Build your spreadsheets from scratch. The drummers are a must-have. Step 4, design your wedding website. Add photos of you two in traditional garb from a surprise photo shoot he planned for your anniversary. Giggle at your serious postures draped in burgundy velvet from Van, a city your partner's kin once referred to as home. Write the dress code formal or taraz as a joke. Unprepared, Google recommendations when childhood friends from abroad ask for costume rental spots. Step 5. Visit the church where you were initiated into Armenian Christianity, soon to be initiated into an Armenian marriage. Run back and forth between translators and notaries for a few days. Keep the small slip they give you with your wedding number on it. Prepare to show up 2:45 on the big day. 1 year later, discover they triple booked the time slot. Step 6. Talk to too many flower vendors. Reevaluate your career path. Consider opening up a floral boutique instead. Finally, find a florist that doesn't require cutting your budget by half, your guest list by half. Feel like you just won the jackpot? Step 7. Start learning Ishkhanat spot, a dance for the nobles. A few clumsy rounds into practice feel far from nobility. Pray your genes will kick in to synchronize your limbs. Step 8. Send your guests a YouTube link to a group dance. No, they'll probably just follow in your footsteps. Don't realize you also have to tell them the event is not bring your own beer. Realize everything needs to be clarified when a local family friend shows up with homemade wine. Step 9. Register for a meditation retreat 2 months before. Commit to being a chill bride. Forget you cried on your 6th birthday when a balloon popped. Step 10. Recreate a Facebook to get RSVPs from your family in Gyumri. Fail to get RSVPs from your family in Gyumri, mark them as might attend. Step 12. Decide to print everything in Yerevan and plan for the aunts to bond over tarosik making. Follow up every day with the printer and receive no updates. Afraid you'll have no wedding favors at all? Sit with your partner and numb your fingers tying twine over 180 white boxes yourselves. Step 14. Talk to your ancestors from your pillow the night before. Ask them if they are proud of you. Know they'll be there in the pearl heirloom set, the cognac bottle your father saved, the family of sparrows chirping in the church. Know they'll clear the clouds for Ararat to smile at your party. When a war breaks across the border 4 days later, understand they ensured your day was untouched. Step 15. Wake up feeling optimistic. Check a WhatsApp message from that morning. Someone has just now confirmed their attendance. Tell yourself to surrender. It's going to be the happiest and most exhausting day of your life. Thank you.
Thank you, Mariam. That was amazing. Next, I would like to invite Sylvia Alajaji, a mentor, to introduce her mentee, Judith Saryan. Sylvia?
Thank you so much, Shahé. Yalla, this was an incredible experience. I apologize, I'm traveling, so if you hear the sounds of the coffee shop around me, my apologies. So I'm going to read Judy's very brief, very humble bio, and then I'll say a few words. Judith Saryan decided to write her family memoir after working on the publications in English of 3 books by Zabel Yasayan. This very short bio that hardly even gives you a grasp of just the amazingness of Judy is totally her in a nutshell. Her memoir, I feel a little bit silly calling her my mentee, as I feel like I learned more and maybe got more out of this experience than her. And it was truly a joy, privilege, and honor to get to work with her. Her memoir, The Color of Mulberry, is by turns devastating and absolutely beautiful, full of hope and subtle. And it's rooted in the things that make us who we are and the reason that we can still speak of us today. And Judy, thank you so much for sharing your family with me and with all of us. And I cannot wait to see what comes of this incredible memoir.
Oh, well, thank you so much, Sylvia. I really am so grateful to you for being such a brilliant and caring mentor. You're generous with your time and your insight. And early on, you helped me to focus and identify on the major themes of what I was doing, because I found, and you found, that I had so many themes and I needed to really focus in on what was most important. And that has helped me tremendously on really carrying a through line through what I'm writing and, to create a narrative arc. So I'm just so very grateful. And that's just one of the many ways you have helped me. So yeah, my memoir is The Color of Mulberry, and I'm going to read from chapter 1, Mulberry, and you can see a mulberry tree behind me, which is actually in our backyard. And so Sylvia recommended that I try to make that my backdrop. On a sun-baked day in the early fall of my 14th year, I head for my favorite reading spot. But something is wrong. There's an empty space where the trunk of my mulberry tree separates. As I walk closer, I don't see the leaves of my tree waving to me in the breeze. I break into a run. I begin to scream. Without thinking, I fall to my knees on the rough pieces of shattered trunk and bark and immediately feel a sharp sting, like a swarm of wasps attacking me all at once. The pain shoots through my whole body. Sawdust clings to the dripping blood on my knees and legs. The smell of wood clogs my nose. I drop my book to the ground. I see the bare branches on the ground like the antlers of a majestic deer that has fallen. I breathe in short gulps between my cries. My father walks slowly towards me from the garage. He has a saw in his hand and a pained look in his eyes. What happened? I stammer as I stare at my father in disbelief. My beautiful tree, you killed it. It has termites, he says. I had to cut it down. He runs his hand over the few wisps of hair on his bald crown. The sawdust stubbornly sticks to his head. It has termites, he repeats to himself, although not so quietly that I can't hear him. I pick up one of the sawed branches and stand up. I remember the stories that I would imagine while sitting on the branches, stories about a tomboy who travels the world in search of mountains and rivers. I dreamed that I would climb Mount Ararat and find a mulberry tree encircling, embracing me as I enter a world surrounded by green veils and the songs of robins and orioles. The leaves, shaped like mittens or hands, nestle me in a folktale with birds and caterpillars as my companions. The caterpillars eat the mulberry leaves to make silk for the Armenians living in the old country, which in turn is woven into magic carpets that can take me anywhere. I had inherited my father's love of trees. They had their own personalities, like the tulip tree that refused to change its seasonal pattern. Dad anthropomorphized the trees in our yard. When he brought home a multi-trunk birch tree, he decided that each of the 4 trunks was one of us, the 4 siblings. This concept intrigued me, that a tree could incorporate my spirit and represent me in some way. My father awkwardly leans towards the stump and places the saw against it, as if he were going to keep cutting. Daddy looks at me as if he wants to say something, but he just bows his head and walks away. I would later come to find out from my brother John that the reason my father had cut down the tree was that mulberries made too much of a mess. Mom had confided in my brother, but had withheld the information from me. As an adult, I confronted my father. Did my mulberry tree really have termites? No, he said while rubbing his neck. Why didn't you tell me before you cut it down? If I had known, I could have cleaned the mess. Nothing ever replaced that tree. I missed how the leaves unfurled in spring, how I became excited when I spied the first glimpses of green fruit that gradually turned pink and then deep purple, how the ripe berries exploded with sweetness in my mouth and stained my fingers red. All those years, I didn't know that the real reason was that I had brought the mulberries into the house with my shoes. To me, the crimson juice of the mulberry was the most beautiful color in the world. To my father, the red stain on our kitchen floor carried memories of Yergir, his homeland, and of his mother that were best repressed.
Thank you, Judith. That was amazing, very moving. And thank you, Sylvia, for mentoring Judith this summer. Next, I would like to invite my friend and mentor, Tina Demirjian, to introduce her mentee. Tina?
Hi, everyone. Thank you, Shahé. Thank you, Olivia, Hovsep, and Yala. I would just like to make a plug that my word for what our life is like today is a renaissance. I think it's a renaissance of Armenian literature and literary writers, and I am proud to be part of that. And Yala, of course, has been the grounding force of so much of that. And Shahé, I remember thinking, how does he know me this well? In choosing Mari Davtyan, that I was so proud to work with. I will say, I want to read this tiny portion that she writes from Where Next. As a tiny little girl with a small little torso and short, curly hair, I stood attached to our chicken's fence, whispering, "Will you lay an egg for me today?" My eyes and the constant cherry pink on my cheeks, I used to watch Granny all busy in the mundane, running from one thing to the next, always getting sharp with her words. I love that. And I love that because of Mari's curiosity, of her paying attention. Like, isn't that what we love to do as writers, is pay attention? And the minute we see something, it just, one, lends curiosity, but then suddenly I know for me, and I'm sure for many of you, oh my God, I got to write it down. Ruth Stone used to say, when I walk down the street and all of a sudden I see the first line of a poem, I have to run back home, keep it in my head, and make sure I write it down. And this is how I feel working with Mari, is that is what she is in constantly, that wisdom, that connection. And it reminds me of this end of this Robert Browning poem, Meeting at Night, where 2 hearts beat each to each. And I feel that way in working with my mentee, but on a larger scale, I feel that way with all of you as well. So thank you so much for the opportunity to work with Mari and enjoy listening to more of her work.
Thank you so much, Tina, for the beautiful words. And I'm thankful for working with you and all the encouragement and support that you shared with me. The first poem is called I Think It Was Blue. Blue, like the waves hit the shore and the waters catch and hold me as I look down at the sunbeams around my feet in steady play with the stillness of the stony sands and the maroon algae. Blue like a mirror to soul searching that the sea takes away over the waves to the unending sky, over the sleeping stones near the shores and dance of the boats, over the outlying sketch of the mountains to the sweet spot where the sky meets the water and becomes one infinite blue, like the way you look across the room, the blue that's your birthmark, enveloping our chatter with a quietness that the light unfolds for us to catch. Blue in the crooks of the age-old buildings that we walk by, mesmerized by their ghostliness, but full of so much blue, the tints of sunset embracing it eventually. Blue in the salty, mellow air, softly filling our lungs, in conversations that we share, breathless from all the strolling that we did to find it, to then submerge with all the metaphysics of the present, wondering where will it take me as I go. Blue like it was never there. And the next one is Where Next? The air is heavy in my apartment in Yerevan. A quiet chill on my skin starts from a string of thoughts orderly lined up in my memory. And suddenly I can see where they take me from here. My grandma would notice every time her chickens skipped an egg. Fewer than predicted, it made her grow bitter, but then I would never really see her distress. As a tiny little girl with a small little torso and short curly hair, I stood attached to our chicken's fence, whispering, "Will you lay an egg for me today?" With my eyes and the constant cherry pink on my cheeks, I used to watch Granny all busy with the mundane, running from one thing to the next, always getting sharp with her words. As she stepped away from the garden, her gaze still in there, she would move straight to the kitchen, carrying a large navy apron full of greens, cucumbers, and onions with her. I observed with my big girl sense of judgment that found its way into my head, having no sense of what to expect from her, not knowing her character or traits. When I was in her house in the village the other day, this August, that felt like October there. I sat below the patio in the front yard as the wind played with my hair. I stared long at the mountain range. If I closed my eyes for a brief moment, I could hear Granny's stories she would whisper in my ear, some about our idle neighbors and how they wouldn't keep themselves busy, chilling in their homes for days. In summer, when Grandpa and she would work so hard all the way to the season's harvest, she would tell me about her brother and how challenging their lives have been, how she married my grandpa so young and worked hard with him to build the brick house that stands today. She would tell me about her grandchildren, how much she loved them, and how she would tear up at times, overwhelmed by memories of injustice clouding many of her young days. And I sat where we used to sit, Granny and I, staring at the setting sun, the amber sky, the richness of the foliage of the trees, covering the last bits of the glistening light. I hope that when I'm anxious, wondering where to go next, my worries will take me somewhere I'd have a backyard with my own little plants, and tomatoes and figs and sky blue flowers here and there. I hope my worries will carry the weight of a small, clumsy human to live off schedule of the city noise and dust, drifting through life's seasons, quite unruled by today's pace.
Thank you, Mari. That was beautiful. And thank you, Tina, for guiding her this summer. I would like to introduce our next mentee, Elina Mir. I will read her introduction, prepared by her mentee, Aida Zilelian, who couldn't be with us because she is traveling. Aida writes, "It was such a pleasure working with Elina for this year's mentorship program. She is not just a writer, but an artist with many talents. Our main focus during our time together was discussing her completed novel, My Uncle Joe, a beautifully written story with an alluring and compelling plot. Elina was such a delight to work with, open, creative, and positive. I'm happy to hear that her novel is now out in the world and look forward to reading it. Elina?"
Hello. Thank you so much. I am so happy to be here, even though I am a little sick, but I couldn't miss it. So it is the book that it is on Amazon now, and thanks to Aida for good advices and quality conversation we had every time. So I need to read something, huh? My hero is every time I was thinking how people feel, not Armenian people, that in the middle of their life they find out that they are Armenian, or they have some their mother or father is Armenian. So Jimmy, my hero, is 35 years old, and he learned that his mother was Armenian. And it changes his life. So I want to read that part. Like a lot of Armenian around the world, and they never forget that they have Armenian gene. And in the okay, I read better, but my reading is not good. Sorry. Chapter 17. 3 days after Lady Edna's visit, Susie Carmanian's assistant phoned Jimmy and requested a meeting. Jimmy enthusiastically agreed to meet the next day. Mrs. Carmanian's assistant was a tall, handsome young man with deep brown eyes and brown hair. He greeted Jimmy with a rather polished manner and go straight to the point of his visit. He scanned around and said, "My name is Arthur Terzian, and I am Mrs. Carmanian's associate. She would like to order a dress from your atelier. You can send me some designs and I'll show her." "Of course, Mr. Terzian. Our team will send some designs we have already made, and we will also make new patterns for her," assured Jimmy. "Here is my card, Mr. Lewis. Before I leave, I want to inform you that Mrs. Carmanian is picky about her appearance. We understand that. It is the reason people order custom dresses instead of buying them in stores. Mrs. Carmanian has her dressmakers and stylists, but is fond of new experiments. This time, she wanted to order from the atelier after her grandma's name." Arthur smiled, stood up, and strolled toward the exit. "Oh, we have something in common besides being from the same nationality," said Jimmy, smiling. "The same nationality?" Jimmy's last words surprised Arthur. He stopped and got seated again. "Yes, actually, my mother was the only daughter of an Armenian genocide survivor couple from Bitlis. Her name was Ani Hakobian," explained Jimmy. "Oh, what a coincidence. My grandparents are from Bitlis as well. My grandfather had 3 brothers, but did not know what happened to them. He lost them on the way through the Syrian desert." There was grief in Arthur's eyes. "You are so young and were born decades after the massacre, but your sorrow for your ancestors is obvious," consoled Jimmy, pouring whiskey and ice into a glass. "It will never be gone. We will have a scar in our hearts," exclaimed Arthur, sipping the whiskey. "Yes, we will never forget. But life goes on, and we must move ahead." Jimmy used "we" when talked about Armenians for the first time, and he liked it. "Have you heard about the first Armenian community in the US? The first Armenian to come to Massachusetts, especially Worcester, in 1867, was Garo from Bitlis. The other Armenians flocked to the town shortly after him, hoping to share in American dream," said Jimmy, trying to ease the heartbreaking atmosphere. Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you, Elina. Thank you so much. That was beautiful, and congratulations on your publication. So next, I would like to invite again my friend Nancy Agabian to introduce her mentee, Siranush. Nancy?
Thank you, Shahé. I was honored to mentor Siranush Sargsyan as I knew her work long before I read her application. During the blockade of Nagorno-Karabakh in 2023, she became one of a few reporters from Artsakh, providing a crucial window when no journalist could enter. I eagerly followed her tweets, read by thousands for their compassion and insight. Since then, she has informed the world about Karabakh in outlets such as Newsweek, Ms. Magazine, Hyperallergic, and the Armenian Weekly, and she is featured in the recently released documentary, There Was Not. With me, Siranush worked on a memoir, a personal narrative from an Armenian native of Artsakh, and every draft I read, I felt so privileged that Siranush kept opening windows for me to see into, and I just felt like everyone needs to read these stories. Siranush is naturally gifted, well-informed, and an adventurous storyteller. She effortlessly weaves her personal voice and the books she has studied as a historian with the stories of her family, neighbors, friends, and the many people she has interviewed as a journalist. She beautifully switches registers to tell her story with vulnerability and strength, speaking as just one woman, and for those at risk to be forgotten, and for all affected by the injustices of our times. Her drafts stayed with me during the weeks we worked together, so much so that I wanted to teach them. Siranush, we are all looking forward to reading your memoir. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. It's very hard to talk after these kind words. Thank you, Nancy. I just want to say before starting that the whole process during this summer, it was very moving, and it was like healing process since I'm not considering myself as a writer, but every time I was like looking forward every time to have this 1 hour and more with Nancy, and I really appreciate every moment. So I will read a very small part of my. I still don't know how it will be in the end, this memoir, and it's a part about laundry, which was very, very special, I believe, in Artsakh, and I wanted to share it with you. So. Scattered laundry, loose straw across the ground, torn apart yet still hung on the line. The first thing I saw, running without thought into my neighborhood during the September 19 large-scale attack by Azerbaijan, was that ruined laundry amidst the residential building, half covered in dust. In Artsakh, laundry was kind of calling card. Every woman in the neighborhood wanted her laundry to be the cleanest, most perfect, and the best exhibited on the line. Once my friend Anahit was coming home with a colleague and saw her laundry hanging from the balcony. She hadn't managed to hang it before work. She rushed home, panicked, and started gathering it up quickly. Her husband, trying to surprise her, had hung the laundry out himself, but he broke every rule in the book. Anahit, of course, rehung it right away, hoping not many neighbors had seen it. For her husband, it was a lesson never to touch the laundry again. When Sonia got engaged, her future mother-in-law's very first mission was to replace the old laundry roller with a new one. Because naturally, you can't just let someone hang laundry professionally on a worn-out roller. The neighbors had apparently been keeping score, declaring that Sonia's laundry skills deserved nothing less than brand new equipment. Laundry was a sign of life, a fragile thread continuously pulled by war and disruption, always striving to return to normal. When I was forced to leave my home and city, I tried to walk and feel every moment of the city again, and one of the most striking images was Stepanakер's last laundry, hung out by women just before they left. I walked through this theater of laundry, the lines of clothing in the sky, or costumes on a stage. I wondered what the women were thinking as they hung that final load. Maybe they used last bit of precious detergent they had to save to carefully, knowing there was no need to save it anymore. Maybe no one would ever gather that laundry. Or perhaps it was a desperate act, a way to hold on to vanishing life, to recreate that forgotten festive ritual of washing all the clothing before the New Year's and Christmas. Since the last holiday was missed due to blockade, hanging the laundry was an attempt and a fading sense of normalcy before saying goodbye to their homes forever. Thank you. Sorry, my English is bad. It was scary to read, but I did it.
Siranush, that was beautiful. No need to apologize. It was great. Thank you. Thank you. Next, we have Aline Terzian, a friend and a mentor. She will introduce her mentee, Aline.
Good to see you all. This has been such a lovely reading. I'm so honored to be here with you all. Shahé, again, I want to echo what Tina said earlier. I don't know how you manage, but you always seem to find the perfect person to pair me up with. So thank you for that. Mentoring Aline, it was great. It was like the meeting of the Alines in this in this partnership. So mentoring Aline Keledjian through IALA was truly a dream for me. From the very start, she impressed me with how thoughtful and fearless she is in her writing. She's unafraid to dig into the political and progressive ideas, all of the nuances of the things happening currently in America, with honesty and with true heart. What I loved most about working with her was how genuinely she listened to feedback and approached every conversation as a chance to grow. She often went through 6 or 7 drafts of a single poem. I have them all, so you could see. She would just send it, draft 6, draft 7. I was like, this is dedication, man. She refined each line until it fully captured what she really was trying to say. And for me, seeing that kind of commitment and dedication is rare, especially in this sort of time as we're moving through some of the apathy around us. Aline writes with conviction, compassion, and a deep awareness of the world around her. Watching her evolve as a writer has been such a gift, and I can't wait to see where her voice takes her next.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I loved working with you, Aline. I learned so much, and thank you for also like reading all of my angry like stuff and everything with everything going on in the world. So
it was my pleasure and my honor.
Thank you. Okay, so I have 2 poems to read. So I'll start with this first one, and this one is called "Medzmam on Dementia's Precipice, So Long, America." I hate this country, she said, her breath thick and oppressive in the humid air. I laughed. What do you mean? She gazed at the asphalt where a shattered lettuce head lay at her feet. In Ashrekia, life made sense. Neurons were excited by seaside winds and open air markets, cells nourished by damp soil. We loved the land. Well-worn paths conformed to our small footsteps. No English lessons or pollution decayed a life of art and beauty. Only in America do you see trash on the ground. She towed a rotted leaf, limp and russet, its edges curling inward. Do those lettuce leaves, disabled like Medzmam, have a message for me too? Perhaps that's what the doctor meant by brain atrophy. No treatments or therapies can ripen this organism, still trying to hold what it knows of living. And then this next one I will read is called Recruitment. Tell me a little bit about yourself. Yes, hello. Most likely, my name is too foreign for you to pronounce, and I have 10 years' experience creating negative self-image, born from systems that excuse small-town exclusion as charming character. So I learned to replace God with cheerleaders and football, and to replace dolma with salad and lemon water, to quench my thirst for a language complex enough to rage with abandon at authoritative faces, conditioned to cover up slurs etched into park benches, or trusted politicians who lure children inside locked rooms, while I long for a place that doesn't exist and restraint. In my current role as serial mental escapist, I dream of revenge, a skill that you can only develop when your reality is denied. Not even my ancestors sleep soundly under their shrapnel blankets, but I wouldn't know because I no longer understand them, no longer see myself in them, and I can't wait to shed what remains. Thank you.
Thank you, Aline. Thank you so much. That was beautiful. And to Alines, again, much appreciation for what you guys have done. Next, I would like to introduce Talar Shahinian. She mentored Kathy. Talar, take it away.
Good morning from Los Angeles to this beautiful IALA community. It's been a real pleasure working with Kathy Salibian this summer. Kathy is a seasoned nonfiction writer, trained as a journalist, who brings a sharp editorial eye, deep emotional intelligence, and a subtle yet poignant sense of humor to her work. Her project is an experimental auto-writing piece that interlaces her family's survival and dispersion journey with her own stories of arrival. With each fragment that we worked on together, which are told through different perspectives or stylistic registers, we asked how these pieces might come together or resist doing so. What made this process especially meaningful was the sense of exchange that emerged, one that is often amplified when diasporic lives intersect. Our conversations bridged generations and geographies, and even revealed that our ancestors once lived in the same village of Chomachlu. I'm delighted to introduce Kathy Salibian and invite her to share a short reading from her work.
Thank you, Talat. Working with you was a treasure, a joy, a privilege, and just world-changing because it was guidance that was astute and generous both. And right now, what I'd like to read is a short excerpt from something that I haven't shared with Talat, but it's from an essay in progress about an Armenian heritage tour that I took. Mount Edgias rises from the plains like an ancient god, a dormant volcano of the Taurus Range. It dominates the eye for miles around. My mother was born in the shadow of this mountain, as was her father and her father's father, stretching back generations. We are Armenians of Anatolia. Empires rose and fell while my people lived on this land, but a century ago, my family barely escaped with their lives. I was the first of us to return. On a warm September day, amid the buzzing of insects, I stood in the courtyard of the old American mission complex of Talas, where my grandfather had been the pharmacist and my grandmother attended high school. The mountain stood alone on a vast plain, snow-capped and majestic. Its beauty shocked me. Its sleeping violence did not. Daughter, do you know where you are? Edgias seemed to say. Do you know who you are? It was a search for some lost part of myself that took me on an Armenian heritage tour of Turkey. With the exception of a few spouses and one writer, we all had ancestral ties to this land, severed in our grandparents' day by genocide. Where were your people from? We'd ask one another. Marash, Kharpet, Urfa, Gesaria. In our busy modern lives, we were doctors, dentists, librarians, business people. We hailed from the Middle East, Europe, Africa, and the United States. We all traveled to Turkey hungry for something. Perhaps the land itself called us back. We wanted to stand where our ancestors had stood, touch the stones of their homes, find the parts of ourselves we had left in this place. We wanted to tell our lost ones, see, we are here. We have beautiful children, jobs we love, good lives. We remember you. Thank you.
Thank you, Kathy, so much. That was incredible. Next, I would like to invite Arthur Gaitzakian, a mentor who will introduce his mentee.
Hi, everyone. It's a true honor to introduce Georgi Bargamian, a writer whose work defies boundaries between journalism and poetry, between witness and imagination, between what's remembered and what's reinvented. I had the privilege of mentoring Georgi through our mentorship program, and I can tell you, she writes with an intensity that's both raw and precise. She brings to poetry the rigor of a journalist and the vulnerability of someone unafraid to dig into the past's deepest vaults. Her poem, Escapology, soon to appear in the Cincinnati Review, begins with a confession. I am a mutant who inherited a predisposition for casual lying. From there, the poem becomes an excavation, a descent through ancestral memory, loss, and invention. Georgi's language transforms pain into art, as when she writes, my father was an escape artist who could vanish into oriental carpets, and every day the ghost of Gomitas drags 1,200 folk songs through haunted Armenian highlands. These are not just lines, they're acts of remembrance, of reclamation. Georgi's poems remind us that art is both an escape and a dissection, a way of performing forensic autopsies on innocent family photos, as she so hauntingly puts it. What moves me most about Georgi's work is her hunger for truth, for form, for survival. She writes from the borderlands of inheritance and imagination, crafting poems that shimmer with both myth and reportage. So today, as she reads, listen for the ghost she summons, the history she reshapes, and the fierce compassion she brings to every line. Please join me in welcoming the extraordinary Georgi Bargamian.
Thank you so much for that introduction. I'm a little thrown. I think of my work as before and after my mentorship with Arthur. I sort of have chosen to look forward and place what came before this mentorship where it belongs, and continue to learn, which is the biggest lesson I drew from our mentorship, that learning doesn't end, and our curiosity always needs to stay open, and we need to be tough with ourselves. So at times these are two of the works that I did during the summer, and they are timed to be just under 3 minutes. So the first one is Escapology, some of which you heard quoted by Arthur a minute ago. I'm a mutant who inherited a predisposition for casual lying. My father was an escape artist who could vanish into oriental carpets. My mother was a suggestion who drifted into escape hatches. The drawers in my house overflow with uncollectible IOUs. Money ferments in my pockets and pulls into tar pits around my ankles. My parents were raised by mothers whose corneas were pierced by Ottoman needles. Every day, the ghost of Gomidas drags 1,200 folk songs through haunted Armenian highlands. A family recipe taught my mother to cook with the same wooden spoon she used to spank me. My brother invaded the body of a mafioso to eat his omerta. I planted 2 placentas under a dying tree and watched cabbages bloom. My family's stolen gold fills the cavities of executioners. I belong to a tribe of escape artists who swallowed the evil eye. My parents' gravesite is a crime scene of treasure hunts and body snatching. Sometimes I exhume my parents to polish their bones. My grandmother came to America with 2 gold coins and 1,000 premeditated ghosts. I perform forensic autopsies on innocent family photos. My father burned down buildings to feed an oxygen addiction. My mother could swallow insults whole, like a crocodile. I bite into memories and chew on pixels when I'm hungry. You don't need to take escapology classes to learn how to vanish. The second one is called Rondo Nostalgia. Now my mother dissolves into Mozart's Allegretto alla Turca, and the Janissaries begin their march across highland into indigenous childhood landscape. Bloody bandage on my knee, and I pledge allegiance to tribe and tradition. While principal chords trample ebony and ivory, rough and melodic messengers invading my play yard and stabbing my eardrums. Their firecracker sulfur smells like control, smells like decline. As the rondo slides into digressions and episodes, musty music and jinnate shroud my flowering obsidian protector, traveling to her crossroads. Thank you.
Thank you, Arthur, and thank you, Georgie. That was beautiful, beautiful work. Next, I would like to invite Armine Ignadosyan, a mentor and a friend, to introduce Karin. Armine.
Hi. Hi, everybody. First, I want to thank Shahé and Olivia for giving us this opportunity to work with such creative Armenians from around the world. I had the honor of working with Karin Vosgueritchian, who impressed me with her unique outlook on writing, her poignant observations on everyday life, her soul searching, her ability to take a philosophical idea and apply imagery and figurative language to it to make it accessible for the reader. I'm very impressed with her as a human and as a writer. You will be as well. In the middle of our mentorship, I had surgery, and she was very patient with me on my recovery. We had to reschedule a couple of times, so I'm really grateful to her for her patience. I know she has many opportunities coming her way, both professional and creative, but I hope she sticks with poetry. I hope she sticks with writing because she is a natural. Her honesty and opinions are worthy of being shared with the public. One last note, Karin discovered poetry a few years ago, and she also explores short fiction. She writes about past and futures that haunt the present, the weight of decaying empires, and discovering oneself and others in a fragmented, hyper-connected world. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to introduce you to Karin Vosgueritchian.
Thank you, Armine. That was so nice. It's been a pleasure, not just getting your feedback, but getting to know you as a person. So I'm going to read one poem, and it's called Stain. The indigo shirt lost, on average, 2 rhinestones a year. In a museum where I work, I stare at a Hans Hofmann painting for the whole shift and sift my mind for the fate of that indigo shirt. A vague recollection emerges of slivers of belly as I careened out of classrooms and living rooms. A winter arrives in alternating warm and cool breezes. Pomegranates in plastic bags appear on the kitchen table. And there, another life, adorned with white and pink and purple and yellow, and brown and black and a deep blushing red arose. I'm permitted to slice the skin and watch it bloom in my hands, delight in staining the shirt with deep magenta shards, and smell the tang of the air. I crunch on stray translucent pearls as a bounty tumbles into white coral bowls. The TV blares in the living room, and my hands are very bright. Today, when I inhale the first breaths of that sweet and tart sheen, my pristine white shirt itches. Thank you.
Thank you, Karin. That was amazing. And Armine, for your guidance. Thank you so much. Next, we have Milena Abrahamyan. Her mentor over the summer was Gina Sirmabekian. In an avalanche of emails, I missed Milena's confirmation email in September, so I failed to inform Gina, so she's not here. Knowing Gina, I know she would have loved to be here and introduce Milena. Milena, my sincere apologies. Please, before you read, do share with us your experience with working with Gina and your experience with the mentorship program. Milena?
Thanks, Shahé. And no worries at all, these things happen. So, I mean, it was such a pleasure working with Gina. A lot of people have mentioned, Shahé, that you seem to know like how to pair people up. So it was really, really wonderful to be paired up with Gina. I've been writing a memoir for many, many years and trying to put some magical realism in it, and working with Gina, and like she really got that. And also reading her work, I was amazed. I was like, why don't I know of this person? So I just want to read you a short excerpt from something that I wrote after, actually. Like Gina hasn't read this piece yet, but yeah, I'm sure she will at some point. I am walking on a minefield, mines planted for over 30 years. The land is dry grass. You would never know where to step so you don't lose a limb, or worse, everything. None of us would admit it, but my sisters and I planted these mines. We forget. We pretend. Nothing is fine. One sister, the one born in between, the one who almost died from a high fever as a newborn, sending her tongue back into her throat as if to fish some other language with which to say, "Why did you leave me so alone so soon after I was pushed and pushed myself out of the womb, to find myself inside a glass cubicle with cold tubes and a rough metal beneath me, and an empty darkness unlike the dark lit by the soothing oceans where I came from?" Is the hurt of the family. She is the one you will find laying on sofas, couches, or beds, curled over armchairs, blankets over her head, eyes closed, silent. Somewhere always hurts. Her silence is loaded guns that could probably shoot back all the hurts absorbed in her body since childhood, drenched in spit collecting at the edges of her mouth when she's got so much to say and so few hearts to listen. It's not easy letting go of the sharpness in our bodies through our mouths. Sharpness cuts two ways. This is the environment inherited after catastrophes and tanks, fireworks, independence, immigration. Mines planted deep in the ground of our common childhood of the 90s and afterwards. The one born in between had a hard time breathing when we first moved to America. Suddenly her face would change. She would be looking for something to grasp onto with her chest, something that could save her, as if the air was not enough around her, as if the air around her became something else, something thicker, hard to pass through the nostrils, rejected by the lungs. American air. Everyone would gather around her, fragile one, the smallest of all of us, the one named after the Virgin, innocent one. A mine explodes as I walk through this terrain. I had to be a monster for you to be angelic. I had to be the troublemaker for you to be not guilty. I had to be the aggressive one for you to be naive. I had to be strong for you to be weak. I'll stop there, even though there's more.
Thank you, Milena. That was amazing. I'm so glad you read. And again, my apologies. Next, we have something exciting. Our founder, Olivia Kantrajian, is going to introduce a special guest, a former mentee from the class of 2023. Lusine Vanyan, Olivia, take it away.
Thank you so much, Shahé. I want to first, before I introduce Lusine, I want to take a moment to thank you, Shahé. Shahé has championed this program for 5 years. He's led with empathy and a generosity of spirit and created such a supportive community of writers. A big thank you as well to Aline Samerjian, the director of our Young Armenian Poets Awards, another poet and educator who just continually inspires me with his dedication to encourage young people to write, and to Keledjian, who makes our Young Armenian Poets Awards possible in honor of the poet Tamar Asadourian. Thank you to Hovset Markarian, our executive director, without whom we could not run either program, and to all our mentors who donate their time year after year to help others. With everything going on in the world, it's so easy to lose faith, but you all give me hope, so thank you. 2 years ago, I mentored Lusine Vanyan, a writer and linguist from Artsakh, who is now living in Yerevan. The summer after our mentorship, she was under blockade, but still writing short stories. After she was exiled from her home, she wrote her story of displacement and worked on it for over a year. And recently, it was published in Royat Journal. I encourage you to read the full essay titled Refugee is Not My Name. I invited her to read today to celebrate our 5th anniversary and to show that writing and revising and publishing takes time. As all of you continue your literary journeys, please know that you can come back to this community for guidance and encouragement. Lusine?
Thank you very much. I'm really grateful to Olivia, to IALA, to Shahé, to Hofsep, and all of you, and I'm very proud of being part of this community. My piece is actually creative nonfiction. It's not fiction, and it consists of several parts, but I chose the part entitled "The Exodus." The Exodus. When the order came to leave, people had a feeling this wasn't temporary. People queued at gas stations where they were only given 5 liters per head. They bid farewell to their homes, streets, churches, graves, acquaintances on the streets. A woman thanked her big fig tree planted by her grandfather for being so generous and saving them from hunger. A shepherd dog desperately sought his master. Perhaps he silently envied the pets whose masters had more car space to take them in. Another family didn't have the heart to bid farewell to their kitten, while others grabbed some books, a woolen plaid, some winter clothes, and played a waltz on their piano before walking out forever. The cars moved slowly, hours blocked in the traffic jam, stopping every now and then as they progressed through the serpentine road. The jam stretched for kilometers, wiping out the already limited petrol. This was the first and most likely the last time the mountains witnessed such a traffic congestion. The Exodus caravan, a line of cars to the horizon, blinking lights reflected in the dusk red rocks of the mountains and ravines, resembling a lake of fire with tortured sinners inside. It seemed that the fire would never be put out, and the terror, fear, and hunger would forever gnaw at them. As people draw closer to the checkpoint, their heart rate beat faster. Panic swelled. Fear made some women deliver early, right on the road. Fear of detention made the state television driver throw the television's archived footage into a ravine. People were getting rid of hard drives with military images, military accessories, and decorations, anything that might be used against them. However, none of the foreboding came to pass. The documents weren't taken away from the soon-to-be refugees, but many old Soviet cars, unused for months, sputtered and died, trunks still open, loaded with what little their owners could carry. I think this is enough.
Thank you so much, Lusine. Thank you. That was very moving. Thank you for sharing with us. Next, we are now making a transition to another exciting set of readings. This is the part where we present the Young Armenian Poets. This project is spearheaded by Aline Semerjian. Alan is a friend who is a teacher, musician, and a poet. He runs the Young Armenian Poets Award with passion and dedication, and this year's crop is just amazing. So, Alan, take it away.
Thank you, Shahé. Can you all hear me okay? Yeah. But it says, Undanik is the word I'm thinking about. The family here is remarkable, and I'm grateful for it. It is my pleasure to introduce the 3 award winners for the Young Armenian Poets Awards in honor of Tamar Asadourian this year, which I'll do in alphabetical order by last name in a moment. Just first, some quick gratitude and context. Olivia mentioned it before, but we want to thank Shahé Mankerian from Tamar's family, and Sylvia Asadourian, Tamar's mother. If you don't know Tamar's work, she was just a wonderful, remarkable poet and musician who left us too early in 2020, and the Young Armenian Poets Awards are dedicated to her. You can learn more about her through the Armenian, to the IALA website. And I just want to also make a quick recognition here for Gregory Janikian, Armine Ignadosyan, and Rafi Vartanyan, who are just exceptional judges and just there all the time with their insight and wisdom, and just wonderful. You can hear their commentaries and read their commentaries as well on the aforementioned websites. Thank you to HPEM again. HPEM is the cultural arm for the Hamas Kayan organization, and you can see the winning works there as well. It's wonderful that they provide an authentic audience for this space for our youngest makers to shine. So we're thankful there. And obviously, we mentioned before, Hovset Markarian, tireless, and he's doing such great work. And Olivia, thank you for supporting this initiative in its 5th year. So we're very thankful. This year's prompt, I should mention, was something that sort of was inspired by the German playwright and poet Bertolt Brecht's poem motto, in which he says, "In dark times will there also be singing?" And then he responds, "Yes, there will be singing." And then about the dark times. Many of us have heard this before, and we just wanted to see how teens age 14 to 18 would respond to this, and respond they did. It was just a remarkable, really a remarkable collection of work that came in that we sifted through to find our 3 winners. And I want to introduce you to them now very briefly. And we'll go alphabetically here. So this year, I would like to just maybe, hear their voices as well as their little bios here very quickly. Emily Chamichian is an Armenian-American writer and high school junior, just at the point of her submitting this, so I imagine that Emily is a senior now. Her work has been recognized by the Scholastic Art and Writing Awards and has appeared in Sage, Cigarettes Magazine, Stardust Review, Incandescent Review, Echo Teen Art, and Lit Magazine. And when she's not writing, you can find her reading and daydreaming, and she loves burning candles, wearing rings, and visiting indie bookstores. Person after my own heart here. And I just want to say that she said, "I decided to submit to the Young Armenian Poets Awards to push myself to share some of the work I've created that's not only inspired and influenced by my culture, but tells a story that I feel is worth sharing." And I really believe her story is worth sharing. So Emily, please read us your winning poem. We're looking forward to hearing it.
Thank you so much for the kind words. I'd like to extend my thanks to both IALA and also extend my congratulations to my fellow winners. The poem I'm going to be reading today is titled Bloodline. Mama tells me I came from a pomegranate, split in half, cracked into digestible pieces. By wrinkled hands, when I give blood, she tells me my blood is the color of currants that have been smashed between fingertips. Mama tells me my fingers were made in a mortar, their dough mixed and kneaded and shaped into bony fingers with little dents to make them more believable. Mama tells me I was wrapped in grape leaves that were laid to rest on jagged stones with little holes that couldn't keep my body in. Tells me my hair is golden at the ends because her mother's was too. Today, Mama kisses me for the first time and tells me to make sure I don't crust at the edges or sit and watch my blood go dry and turn brown like pomegranates do when they sit out too long. Thank you.
Thank you, Emily. A wonderful poem there. Really, you can read the judge's commentary as well on the websites that we mentioned before. We'll go alphabetically to our next winner here. Hrant Shadyan is an 18-year-old Armenian-born in Artsakh, maybe 19 now. We'll see. He was a 12th grade student at Heratsi High School in Yerevan. In the biomedical pathway, science is an area of his interest, and apart from it, he balances his academic life with playing volleyball, writing, and listening to music. And these hobbies allow him to express the way he sees the world and maintain a balanced lifestyle. And a quick note here, he said, poetry has always been how I sing through dark moments with language that remembers, preserves, and resists forgetting. He also adds this contest in memory of Tamar Asadourian runs a myriad of parallels with the journey of many young Armenian voices like myself, trying to speak of their truth and identity. It's just a wonderful way into Hrant's terrific poetry. Please give a warm welcome to Hrant Shadyan.
Hello, everyone. First of all, thanks to the whole IALA community, and also congratulations to all of my fellow winners, because kind of after the poems were published and after reading it, I was kind of proud of myself as well, because all the poems were really amazing and incredible pieces. So my poem title is Grandma, I'm Here. I want to wear Artsakh like a scarf, wrapped twice in size and pretty promises, but the wind took it. And now I speak plain Armenian like a stranger in my own story. My tongue forgets the secret curse of our works. The longing. Oh, I'm sorry. The tilt of sentence, heavy with longing. I call for it. I call for it. Khalet manum, I whisper, which means I hope I'm wrong. I hope this loss isn't real. I hope the dialect is just sleeping. Somewhere under an old mulberry tree, a grandmother kneads dough for Shingalov huts. Zhanga Parat Sajanira, humming to herself, waiting for a child to run to her, shouting, Babu, yes, Topum. Grandma, I'm here. Thank you.
Thank you, Hrant. I should also note the process. The judges read the work without any names or biographical information for the writers, and every one of the judges pointed out that line, I want to wear Artsakh like a scarf. And then the wind taking it was just remarkable. So thank you so much for that work. And I also want to say before I introduce the third and final winner, in addition to publication on HPEM and the IALA websites, we also offer a monetary award for this recognition, and also a copy of Tamar Asadourian's first book. And that is a part of the awards. So our final winner here is our youngest winner. And Sarine Shahinyan is an 8th grade, or was an 8th grade student attending St. Gregory Hovsepian School. Was passionate about art, poetry, and music, and enjoying painting, drawing, and reading. Favorite subjects are English and history, and she loves Armenian culture and wishes to visit Armenia someday. And she says regarding her reasoning why she submitted this year, She said, I have a burning passion for poetry and the power of words in a world that struggles to listen. That really was deeply moving. I decided to submit to the Young Armenian Poets Awards to share my thoughts with others. I wrote this poem as a commentary on the Lebanese Civil War. Sarine, we look forward to hearing you read your winning work.
Hello, thank you for this opportunity. And I would like to say thank you to Barun Shahé, who is my principal of 15 years. And he encouraged me to continue writing and join this community. My poem is called Tourniquet. I sit toward the back middle of the tiny classroom, stare through overgrown bullet hole windows, my eyes fixated on trivial droplets of earthy water escaping from the ash-clogged gutters. The usual sight would be proud troops marching through the streets in perfect unison. But this time, these are the ones that got lucky, our teacher sighs, catching my gaze. Not much of a troop, but a painting starring the reality of survival. Each pitiful soldier drags himself forward, a pathetic stick the only thing keeping him from crumbling. Proper medical attention is scarce at the war front. These burnt-out warriors are now rolled in tourniquets, trying to seize their bleeding limbs. I try to redirect my focus, but there is this cloud of smoke, spiritless and sickly, a ghost between my eyes and senses. It clogs throat and thought, dries my nose and lungs. It stings the crease of my eyes, and I can taste it. So can the sky, like forced tobacco on the clouds. I hate the way it curls beneath itself as it grows, how it shifts greedy and restless. Its spoiled claws snatch at anything they please. Like a void of swirling madness, bullets poke through tiny slits, but never come out the other end. The sharp crack of the barrel fades, drowning away, but never forgotten. My mind shatters into the field of honor. Which flame was that of reality? Soldiers twist tourniquets around the root of their wounded limbs to stop the bleeding. I wonder, can't a tourniquet twisted above the collarbone dam the river of bloody thoughts rushing to my mind? My ears burn red, my brain a canvas to be painted with the bloodshed. And I imagine the dawn when my mother stares in stunned silence at my finally pale face. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Sarine. And thank you to Emily, Hrant as well. All three of you, welcome to our Andanik.
Thank you, Alan. Thank you, Sarin, and the rest of the amazing poets. Yeah, it was icing on the cake, as we say it. Alan, thank you for leading the Young Armenian Poets Awards with care and creativity over the past 5 years now. Your work continues to inspire us and remind us why poetry still matters. A heartfelt thank you to our mentors and mentees for the dedication and imagination you bring to the IALA Mentorship Program. To Olivia, thank you for your steady leadership and vision. And to Hofsep, thank you for doing the heavy lifting behind the scenes to make this showcase possible. To our writers and listeners, thank you for joining us on this Sunday and for continuing to support Armenian literature and the creative spirit that unites us. As we look ahead, please visit our website to learn about our upcoming events, including a translation conversation and an agent panel, and to find details on next year's mentorship program and the Young Armenian Poets Awards in honor of Tamar Asadourian. This coming year marks the 5th anniversary of the mentorship program, a milestone that speaks to the strength and generosity of this community. To help us continue this work, we invite you to donate, become a member of IALA, or do both. Every contribution makes a difference and helps uplift the next generation of writers. So thank you again for being part of today's celebration of words, resilience, and community. Have a great rest of your day.